Welcome to the deep dive. Today, our mission is really focused on a health connection that becomes, well, critically important after age 60. We're talking about high blood pressure hypertension and how it's so closely tied to excess body weight. We've been digging through some really insightful sources, compiled by a health practitioner who works extensively with seniors, helping them with wellness. Our goal today is to pull out the most specific, the safest, and honestly, the most effective strategies for you, the listener. Strategies for achieving natural, healthy weight loss, and at the same time, getting much better control over your blood pressure. And just to give you an idea of the impact we're discussing, did you know that losing just 5 pounds can actually lower your blood pressure significantly? I mean, potentially enough to move your numbers out of that high-risk category altogether? It's a simple fact, but it really underscores what we'll be exploring.
Absolutely, and this deep dive is specifically tailored, because the body really does interact differently with diet and exercise as we get older. So we're going to unpack the exact mechanisms why extra weight raises blood pressure. We'll explain why those traditional dieting methods often backfire after 60. Then we'll get into the details of a senior-friendly approach, the modified DASH diet. And finally, cover some gentle, safe movement strategies that deliver results without, risking those dangerous pressure spikes.
Okay, let's start with the science then, because I think understanding the plumbing of it all really helps clarify why change is needed. The immediate issue with excess weight is just the sheer effort it demands from your heart. That extra tissue, especially visceral fat, the stuff around your midsection, needs a constant blood supply. So the heart has no choice but to pump harder, increasing the pressure to push blood out to all that additional tissue. And the link is incredibly direct. Our sources point out that for roughly every 2.2 pounds of extra weight you carry, your systolic blood pressure, that top number can go up by about 1 millirhg. You can see how that adds up quickly, increasing the risk substantially.
Yeah, and what's really crucial to grasp here is that it's not just about the physical mass, that excess weight actually triggers this whole cascade of, harmful hormonal and inflammatory changes in the body. So first off, there's insulin resistance. Visceral fat releases certain chemicals. These chemicals force your pancreas to pump out way too much insulin.
Okay.
And all that extra insulin, it signals your kidneys to hang on to more sodium and water. And that fluid retention is a major direct driver of high blood pressure. Then compounding that, you've got chronic inflammation. Obesity tends to promote this sort of low-grade, persistent inflammation everywhere in the body.
Right.
And this inflammation damages the delicate lining of your blood vessels, makes them less flexible, stiffer, narrower.
Which means the heart has to work harder.
Exactly. To push blood through those constricted pathways, the body has to generate much higher pressure. It's a physical necessity at that point. And then there's the whole issue of sleep disruption. Extra weight is very frequently linked to obstructive sleep apnea. That's where you actually stop breathing, maybe multiple times overnight. Every time that happens, your body kind of panics. Blood pressure spikes sharply. And that doesn't just happen at night. It leads to sustained high blood pressure during the daytime too. And finally, the nervous system gets involved. Carrying extra weight often leads to what's called sympathetic nervous system activation. Basically, it keeps your body locked in a sort of chronic stress state.
Like a constant fight or flight, almost.
Pretty much, yeah. Hormones like adrenaline get released constantly. And that constricts blood vessels, speeds up your heart rate, and just keeps your whole system operating at this unnecessarily high chronic pressure level.
Okay, that whole picture, that cascade, it might sound a bit discouraging, but let's circle back to the positive side, the incredible payoff we mentioned earlier. Studies consistently show that losing even a small amount of weight, just 5 to 10 pounds, can bring down your systolic blood pressure by a really significant amount, maybe 5 to 20 points. That's huge! But this brings up a really key question, doesn't it? If the answer seems to be just lose weight, why do so many people over 60 find those traditional restrictive diets so difficult? I mean, almost impossible to stick with. It often feels like a personal failing, lack of willpower. But the sources we looked at are clear. It's usually a biological mismatch, not a character flaw.
Exactly. Why are standard calorie-cutting diets often counterproductive after 60? Well, they tend to actively sabotage two really major biological processes that are crucial for your long-term health. The first one is the metabolic slowdown. It's natural. Your metabolism slows down by maybe 1 to 2% each year after age 60. It just happens. But when you drastically cut calories, your body thinks, uh-oh, famine, and slams the brakes on your metabolism even harder, which, ironically, makes losing weight and keeping it off much, much harder.
And the second hurdle is, well, it's critical, sarcopenia, or age-related muscle loss. We naturally lose some muscle as we get older anyway, but when you go on those very restrictive diets, you don't just lose fat, you lose precious muscle tissue too. And here's the kicker. Muscle burns way more calories at rest than fat does. So losing muscle is like, you're basically dismantling your own calorie-burning engine. It almost guarantees the weight will come right back on.
Precisely. And that whole restrictive approach, it triggers the body's survival mechanisms, that famine response. Your brain starts pumping out hunger hormones, turns down the signals that make you feel full.
So you feel hungry all the time.
Constantly hungry. It's why those diets almost always collapse eventually. It leads directly to that rebound effect.
And there's another danger too, isn't there? That whole cycle of severe restriction followed by rebound eating, it often causes major swings in blood sugar, creating instability.
Yes.
And that's dangerous in its own right. Those erratic blood sugar levels can independently raise blood pressure and increase your risk for type 2 diabetes. So it becomes a negative cycle, not a positive one.
Absolutely. So if we connect this back to finding the right strategy, the solution that our practitioner source really emphasizes isn't about deprivation at all. It's about optimization. It's about eating better, not just less. The focus really needs to shift towards nutrient density, getting the most nutritional bang for your calorie buck, rather than just slashing calories across the board. And the research backs this up. Seniors who make this shift are apparently 40% more likely to successfully manage their weight long-term.
Wow, 40%? That's significant.
It is. And it means prioritizing gradual progress, aiming for maybe just 1 to 2 pounds of weight loss per week, max. That helps protect your muscle mass. It also means making sure you get enough protein at every meal and really focusing on foods that fight inflammation.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. And it sets the stage beautifully for the nutritional plan that tackles both issues, blood pressure and weight management, head-on. The Modified DASH diet.
Right, the DAH diet. This stands for Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension. It's quite famous for its results in clinical trials. It can lower blood pressure by, say, 8 to 14 points, sometimes pretty quickly, even within a couple of weeks.
Impressive.
But here's the really interesting part we found in the research, especially relevant for our listeners. Seniors who combine the DAH diet principles with gentle, appropriate weight loss techniques actually saw twice the improvement in their blood pressure compared to younger people doing the same thing.
Wait, twice the benefit for seniors? That seems almost counterintuitive, doesn't it? Given everything we know about things slowing down with age, what is it about the DAH structure specifically that leads to that amplified result in older adults?
It seems to be because it directly targets some of the specific micronutrient needs and challenges that become more common with aging. For instance, the diet structure really emphasizes potassium power. It aims for about 4,700 milligrams of potassium daily.
Okay.
And that's critical because as we age, our kidneys sometimes have a harder time getting rid of excess sodium. Potassium basically acts as a counterbalance. It helps flush out that extra sodium. It also helps correct common deficiencies in magnesium. We call it magnesium magic. Magnesium is vital. It acts like a natural muscle relaxant. It helps relax the walls of your blood vessels, which immediately eases pressure.
I see.
And finally, there's a focus on nitrate-rich foods, things like beets and leafy greens. These foods contain natural nitrates that your body converts into nitric oxide. And nitric oxide is a really powerful compound that helps keep blood vessels wide and flexible. Okay, this sounds very promising. Let's make it really practical for the listener. What are the concrete steps for putting a senior-friendly meal plan like this into action?
Well, one key thing is a meal timing strategy. Your metabolism is generally highest in the morning. So the advice is to eat your largest, most nutrient-dense meal at breakfast. And conversely, keep dinner lighter and try to finish eating at least 3 hours before you go to bed. This helps prevent those overnight blood pressure spikes that can happen if you eat too close to sleep.
And visually, the perfect plate formula can be really helpful. It makes planning meals simpler. You aim for about half your plate to be filled with non-starchy vegetables. They get lots of color, maybe 3 different kinds.
Okay.
Then about a quarter of the plate should be a lean protein source, roughly the size of your palm. And the final quarter is for complex carbohydrates, whole grains, things like that. Plus maybe a tablespoon of healthy fats like olive oil or avocado.
And when you're choosing those foods, especially the veggies, really focus on the ones known to be BP-lowering powerhouses. Our sources specifically highlight 3 you should try to include regularly. First, beets. They've got those natural nitrates we just mentioned. Studies show they can lower systolic BP by maybe 4 or 5 points, sometimes within hours of eating them.
Wow.
Second, garlic. It contains a compound called allicin, which research suggests can reduce blood pressure by a significant 7 to 9 points. And of course, leafy greens, spinach, kale, chard, they are absolute potassium powerhouses. Just 1 cup of cooked spinach gives you around 840 milligrams of potassium. That's a big chunk of your daily goal right there.
So it's a really powerful health-promoting way to eat. But we absolutely have to stress the safety aspect. When you're shifting towards these DSH principles, you must focus on limiting your sodium intake. The goal is generally under 1,500 milligrams per day, and you really have to be vigilant about those hidden sodium bombs in processed foods, canned soups, restaurant meals, takeout. They add up incredibly fast.
Yeah, you have to read labels carefully.
Definitely. And also keep an eye on added sugars. Try to keep those under 25 grams daily. But the most critical piece of safety advice is this. You absolutely must talk to your doctor or healthcare provider about these dietary changes.
Yeah.
Especially regarding potential medication interactions.
That's crucial.
It really is. For example, all those potassium-rich foods that are central to DAH, they can interact with common blood pressure medications like ACE inhibitors. Grapefruit or grapefruit juice, which people often think of as healthy, can interfere with certain calcium channel blockers. And the high vitamin K content in leafy greens can affect how blood thinners work. So managing your diet and your prescriptions has to be a partnership with your doctor, period.
Absolutely non-negotiable. That partnership is key for safety and success. Okay, let's shift gears slightly and talk about movement. Exercise is obviously essential for both weight management and blood pressure control. But here's the tricky part, the paradox. Some of the traditional advice about high-intensity workouts can actually be risky for seniors with hypertension. Pushing too hard can cause systolic blood pressure to spike dangerously high, maybe 200 millimol Hg or even more. So our sources confirm that moderate, consistent movement is actually far more effective and definitely safer for long-term blood pressure control than those occasional really intense workouts.
Exactly. The focus needs to be on movement that's progressive, meaning you gradually increase it, and that supports your cardiovascular system, rather than putting excessive strain on it. We've got 3 types of gentle, effective exercise that are highly recommended in the materials we review. Number 1 is a progressive walking program. This is really the gold standard starting point. It's weight-bearing, which is great for bone density, it improves circulation, and does all this without causing those dangerous blood pressure spikes.
And the results can be quite good, right?
Very good. One study showed that just increasing daily steps by 3,000, which isn't a huge amount, reduced systolic blood pressure by an average of 7 points over 12 weeks.
That's encouraging, just from walking a bit more. And what about safety tips for walking?
Simple but vital. Always warm up gently first, carry water, stay hydrated, and know the warning signs to stop immediately. Feeling dizzy, lightheaded, any chest pain or discomfort, unusual shortness of breath. Also, it's wise to check your blood pressure sometimes before you start. If it's already quite high, say over 180 or 110, it's probably best to postpone vigorous exercise for that day. Maybe do some gentle stretching instead. Okay, type number 2 is chair-based strength training. This is so important for fighting back against that age-related muscle loss, sarcopenia, and keeping your metabolism from slowing down too much.
And you don't need a gym membership for this.
Not at all. You can use light resistance. Think 1 to 3 pound hand weights, or even just water bottles or soup cans. Do seated exercises like shoulder presses, bicep curls, or seated rows using a resistance band looped around your feet or chair leg. And maybe the most important functional exercise here is the sit to stand. Just practicing standing up from your chair and sitting back down slowly, using your chair arms for support if you need it. That builds crucial leg strength.
Okay, and the third type, you called it potential secret weapon?
Yeah, the third type is gentle flexibility and balance work. This often gets overlooked, but it's incredibly powerful. Obviously, it helps prevent falls, which is a huge issue, but it also directly helps reduce stress.
Ah, the stress connection again.
Exactly. And reducing stress directly lowers blood pressure. And probably the simplest, most accessible technique you can start using literally today is deep breathing. It sounds basic, but it works. By consciously slowing down your breath, maybe breathing in slowly for a count of 4, holding gently for 4, and then exhaling fully for a count of 6, you activate your parasympathetic nervous system.
That's the rest and digest system.
That's the one. It counteracts the fight or flight response. And doing this, even for just a few minutes, can provide an immediate, measurable drop in blood pressure. It's quite remarkable.
So bringing this all together, what's the main takeaway for you, the listener? The core message we've distilled from all this information is really clear. Healthy weight loss and blood pressure management after 60 isn't about fighting your body with extreme measures. It's about moving away from restriction. It's about adopting strategies that respect and work with your body's specific biological needs and changes. And making this shift towards nutrient-dense food, gradual progress, gentle, consistent movement, it's not just about numbers on a scale or a blood pressure cuff. Fundamentally, it's about reclaiming your energy, your vitality, your confidence. It's about making sure you have the stamina and health to really engage with and enjoy your life. And in a way, your age here is an advantage. You likely have the patience, the wisdom, to embrace the consistency that these gentle approaches require.
That's very well put. And before you dive into making big dietary changes like the modified DAH plan we discussed, please remember that essential first step. Talk to your healthcare provider immediately. Review those potential medication interactions, especially the potassium ACE inhibitor link or the restrictive calcium channel blocker issue.
Right, safety first.
Always. That partnership with your doctor is truly the bedrock for doing this safely and successfully. But once you've had that conversation, once that foundational safety check is done, here's a final thought, something maybe provocative for you to mull over. We've established that preserving your muscle tissue is absolutely key. It's the engine driving your metabolism and your circulatory health on this journey. So the question to ask yourself is, what one small, safe, achievable action are you going to take this week to actively prioritize maintaining or even building your muscle mass, knowing how vital it is?